What's up, guys? Today we're going to read the story of Harold and the Purple Crayon. I think Harold's a champion artist, and I have a trusty purple crayon handy just in case as well. So here's Harold and the Purple Crayon by Crockett Johnson, a classic. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on too. He made a long, straight path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him, putting it to good use. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long, straight path. So he left the path for a shortcut across a field, and the moon went with him, and so did his purple crayon. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got rojo red. What shape are these apples? Very round. I think they're circles. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. So we have circles for apples. What are these sharp, pointy, three-sided shapes for teeth and scales? A three-sided shape? Some might call it a triangle. Well, the monster even frightened Harold. He backed away, his hand holding the purple crayon, shook and shook. Suddenly he realized what was happening, but by then Harold was over his head in an ocean. Well, when his crayon shook, I guess it made wavy lines. He came up, thinking fast, and in no time he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. So he saved himself with his art. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry. So he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie. But there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked best. Dessert is pretty tasty, I must admit. Harold's on the right track. When Harold finished his picnic, there was quite a lot left. He hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. What do you think he's drawing next? So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up. So a moose and a porcupine. I like how he used lines to make the spiky quills and the antlers too. And off he went looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make the hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired, and he felt he ought to be getting to bed soon. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. But as he looked down over the side, he slipped. And there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was just falling in thin air. Oh no. Better think quick, Harold. But luckily he kept his wits and his purple crayon as well. He made a balloon and he grabbed on. So that balloon is a big circle, isn't it? He made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in. Not quite a square, kind of a weird rectangle box. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows. and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. These windows are kind of square-like too, and almost like a triangle roof. None of the windows were his window. He tried to think where his window ought to be. So he keeps going. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. Now these super, super tall buildings full of windows are called skyscrapers. They touch the sky. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where it might be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold thanked him. How polite. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. But then, suddenly, Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom window was. When there was a moon, it was always right around the moon. Then Harold made his bed. He got in it. He drew up the covers, quite literally. The purple crayon dropped on the floor and Harold dropped off to sleep. So this champion artist was pretty tired. Now I hope you enjoyed Harold's story. Maybe now you can choose a crayon. It doesn't even have to be purple. And maybe you can make an adventure of your own with just one colored crayon. You can do a lot with just one tool. Have fun!